So, Professor Rosa, you join me for one final time on Islamic practice. Yay! Oh, you're bored of these, but you have been getting a lot of extra biscuits, haven't you? So, you're quite pleased about that. Huh? Eat up, gentle. Gentle girl. Right, off you go and eat your biscuit. Okay. So, Islamic practice. Massively important. We love a bit of Islamic practice. So, first of all, we did the first of the three of the five pillars last time. Let's finish them off this time with zakah. Zakah is the act of giving alms or charity. So, by giving alms, we mean paying a certain amount of money. No, Professor Rosa, you had the biscuit now. No more. Right? By giving alms or charity, we are giving money to the poor. Now, that is meant to be a payment in zakat of 2.5%. 2.5% is said to be the right amount because it's a reasonable amount. It will help everyone. If everyone gives 2.5%, then the poor will have enough. However, it's not enough that it will cause you to be sort of in financial difficulties. How do we make sure that someone has to give zakat? Well, it comes after your tax and bill and normally from your savings. So the amount of money at the end of the year that you have saved. Therefore, if you are someone who does not have any money to spare, say someone who is very poor or someone who's decided to work for charity in the first place, then you do not have to pay zakat. Very convenient. But why the hell do we have to do any zakat at all? Well, the money is used to help orphans, like Muhammad. Muhammad, the Prophet, was an orphan. So therefore, we use that money to help other orphans to show that we have respect for the Prophet. It helps the poor generally because all people are equal in God's eyes, in Allah's eyes. So we make sure that they are helped. So we help them by giving them money so that everyone is treated well in Allah's eyes. And it helps travellers. What sort of travellers are we talking about? We're not talking about travellers as in people who live in sort of caravan sites. We are talking about travellers as in people who are going to Mecca in this sense. By that, they are helping them do the Hajj. Sorry, Professor Rosa keeps trying to get on the table. I do apologise. Rosa, get away. So, why is that helpful? Well, it lets people do the Hajj, and therefore it helps them with their sins. It helps increase equality. It shows all money is a gift from Allah. Now, we can use a quote we've had before. He who eats while his brother goes hungry is not one of us. How can you use a quote about food? Well, because if you have got money to feed yourself, but your brother, and your brother is not a literal brother, but it is a brother in the sense of within Islam, everyone is our brother, all fellow humans are our brothers, then we can say, look, if I'm eating while my brother goes hungry, I am a bad person. I'm not one of this chosen faith. I'm not within Islam. Can we give any extra money? Well, yes, we can. We can give sadaqah. Sadaqah is any other payment we make at any other time of year. That is known as sadaqah. That's a nice word to use. S-A-D-A-Q-A-H. However, what about Shia Muslims? Well, Shia Muslims should give zakah, but as we looked at when we did the 10 obligatory acts, they also give khums. Right. You are an idiot. Leave me alone. Just trying to hold my hand. Right. Khums is an additional 20% of your profits, okay? 20% of your profits. So obviously that would only go for people who have got a large amount of money. It can be used to give to the imams, firstly to Ali, in order to help support the religion. It keeps Shia Islam strong. The money went to support the imams. But it is now given to religious teachers in order to spread the faith, okay? Because the imams are no longer, after the 12th imam went into hiding, it is now the imams in the local mosque or your religious leader in terms of within the faith of Islam who will have to do this, okay? So in Iran, that is often taken into sort of the leadership of the country and the faith, okay, where they meet. Yes, Professor Rosa, that bit of paper's on your face. So, Hajj. Hajj is the final pillar, okay? The pilgrimage to Mecca. Why Mecca? Well, Mecca is the city of the birthplace of the Prophet Muhammad. Mecca is also incredibly important because it is where the Kaaba was built, okay? The Kaaba, Kaaba, was the black box built by the Prophet Ibrahim to house the Black Rock. Perhaps the first place of worship for all Muslims, okay, almost certainly. The sites where the Kaaba is built, you can still see apparently the footprints of the Prophet Ibrahim, so it's an incredibly holy site. All Muslims journey to Mecca, okay, this is what to do, okay. They wear a white cloth, men especially, as a sign of equality. All men are wearing the same colour. This wearing of the white cloth is known as Iram, to show that there's equality between all people. The richest Muslim, the poorest Muslim, all equal on this day. They walk around the Kaaba 7 times, okay? 7 times is considered the number to do this. It's a sign of you purifying yourself by doing this. You're talking about millions of people, so it's a sense of connectivity and a sense of community as we do this. Then you walk between the hills of Safa and Marwa. They're actually sort of enclosed now. There's a well in the middle where you can get this holy water called Zamzam water, okay? Z-A-M, Z-A-M, Zamzam water. The water is said to be from this sort of holy well where Ibrahim's wife drank from when she was banished to the desert. Then you climb Mount Arafat. Mount Arafat is a mountain where the Prophet Muhammad gave his last ever speech. And finally, you go to this place called Mina. You take a handful of pebbles and you throw them at this stone at Mina. You throw them at this stone at Mina. Now, why do we do that? Well, we imagine that the stones at Mina are the devil trying to tempt Ibrahim, and we throw stones like Ibrahim did to drive back the devil. So, Professor Rosa, stop. Right? So we drive back the devil, right? That is why we throw stones at Mina. Why do we do it? Well, it cleanses us, our soul, free of sins. In fact, a Muslim who dies while walking around the Kaaba at Hajj doesn't have to wait in Barzakh to go to heaven. They go straight to paradise. The only people who do not have to wait for Judgment Day are those who die on the Hajj. It joins all Muslims in equality. All Muslims are equal during this time while they are there. They are united in this action. It's a sign of dedication and commitment. It's a sign of dedication and commitment. You are showing your dedication because you're willing to spend this vast amount of money and do all this walking and journeying to show your dedication to your faith. It's of historical importance. This is where Muhammad would have walked. This is where Ibrahim would have walked. So you're walking, not literally, but in somewhat ways with Ibrahim, you're walking in their footsteps. Okay, you are reliving these important moments. So that is the 5 pillars. Now what do we have? Well, Shia Muslims also have jihad as part of their 10 obligatory acts, whereas Sunni Muslims still believe in jihad, and jihad literally means struggle. There's 2 forms of jihad. We'll start with the lesser jihad. The lesser jihad is the one about warfare, your duty to defend your religion. Don't forget, this is defend your religion, not to attack others. Allah does not love the aggressor. What does Allah does not love the aggressor mean? You cannot be starting the conflict. You must be the one defending in this conflict. And therefore, by defending the conflict, you are showing you're doing the right thing. The rules for lesser jihad are clear. There are rules. You can't just go into a war. It cannot be done for gain. You cannot be going to this war in order to take resources or land. It must be done in defense of your religion. So you never attack. You're never trying to take from it. You have to show mercy. If your enemy submits, you cannot just slaughter them. You must show respect to your enemies. And it must try and restore peace. It cannot be a war for the purpose of causing chaos. This is why, in a longer answer, we can show that acts of terrorism would be forbidden under the rules of lesser jihad, because it doesn't try and restore peace, and it does not show mercy, breaking these simple rules. Let us go from lesser jihad to the greater jihad. Well, why do we go from lesser to greater? Because in the Prophet Muhammad's words, we are finished with the less... Oh, I forgot the E off the word lesser. That's ridiculous. We are finished with the... not the E, the R. We are finished with the lesser jihad. We are now starting the greater jihad, okay? So once we have finished defending the religion, and Muhammad did have to defend the religion from attack at first, we are finished with the lesser jihad. We are now starting the greater jihad. Once the religion was secure, they were like, right, we've struggled against an enemy, now we have to struggle against ourselves. What does this mean? Well, it's struggling to do the right thing every day, to follow the rules of Islam. Let's say to follow the 5 pillars, to do our 5 daily prayers, to fast during Sawm, okay, during Ramadan, to go to pilgrimage at Mecca. These are our greater jihad. This is our struggle, to give up 2.5% of our wealth to Zakat. It leads to good behaviour and therefore paradise. So this is sensible rules to follow. We follow the 5 pillars to help each other. It makes the world a better place. The greater jihad is your inner struggle to do the right thing. A 12-mark question arguing about the differences in jihads would be absolutely brilliant. I would love that. I think that's a really simple one that you guys would smash. Right, festivals. Now, there are 3 festivals we're going to go to, okay? Here's a little man celebrating Eid al-Fitr. He's the number 1 human, I think I've written there. What an odd thing to write. And he's holding a chicken bone thing, like a chicken drumstick, and a piece of pizza. and he has glasses on and hair, so he's a lovely man. Right, he's celebrating Eid al-Fitr. Why is he celebrating by eating food? Well, Eid al-Fitr celebrates the end of the month of Ramadan, when Muslims have been fasting for Sawm, okay? So these are the two Eids, and this is Eid al-Fitr, right? This is when the Night of Power happens. Reminder on the Night of Power, that is when the Prophet Muhammad receives the Quran. So this is an incredibly important day. It's not just the end of this festival, it's also celebrating the Night of Power. It's also the last day of fighting. Why have I written that? Not fighting, fasting. I'm losing my mind. Fasting. Okay, it's the last day of fasting. So they're going to eat for the first time during the day for a long time. So this celebration involves normally large amounts of food. Sending cards is very common. Eid Mubarak, okay? Eid Mubarak is a traditional greeting put inside cards. A large meal is held with family and friends. You are bringing the community together again. New clothes are a common gift and a fresh start. Once again, a long question on Eid al-Fitr, what quote can you drop in? How about a little bit of he who eats while his brother goes hungry is not one of us, about sharing the food out between them. There are not many easy quotes to remember for the Eid questions. So bust out that one again. It's a nice, easy one, okay? Then your other Eid is Eid al-Adha, okay? Eid al-Adha remembers the sacrifice of Ibrahim. We talked about one of the other videos. When Ibrahim was meant to sacrifice the goat, okay? Sacrifice his son and sacrifice a goat. So you remember during this festival that you are to sacrifice whatever you need to for God, that you are willing to trust in God no matter what. And at the end of this festival, and this festival takes place while other Muslims are doing Hajj, while they're performing Hajj, you are meant to be doing Eid al-Adha. You go, right, we're going to remember the sacrifice of Ibrahim, and we're going to remember how he resisted temptation by shaitan, which is obviously why the Muslims at Hajj are throwing stones at the pillars of Mina. You are going to remember that we have got to make a sacrifice, and that Allah asked Ibrahim to make a sacrifice. We're going to remember that. By doing that, we ourselves are going to reenact part of that. We are going to kill a goat, okay? Not personally, you get a butcher to do it normally. And you're going to split that food 3 ways. It goes to your family and yourself. It goes to your relatives, and then a third goes to the poor. Hang on, you've just written a question about Eid al-Adha. What quote have we got again? Boom, don't use it if it's a 5 marker for both, but you've got a quote, he who eats while his brother goes hungry is not one of us. Bang, because you've given a third of your goat to the poor, okay? Sometimes it's a sheep as well, but just keep it for goat for the purposes of the exam, okay? The exam comes first before technical accuracy in my mind at the moment. So you need to say, go to the poor, he who eats while his brother goes hungry is not one of us. Bang, you've used a quote you've already learned for another section to help you with this one. And the final festival is Ashura, okay? Ashura is the one that you all remember, but you can't remember quite why. It's the one with the people who hit themselves in certain areas. Though that is a minority of people, that is something that is very memorable. This is mainly a Shia festival, though we'll look at how Sunni celebrate it as well. It's on the 10th day of Muharram, which is one of the months. I don't think you'll need to remember that fact, but just in case, I've told you. It remembers the sacrifice of Hussein, the grandson of Muhammad. So Shia Muslims believe that obviously Ali then becomes the first of the imams. When Muhammad dies, he is told to take over the religion. And so Hussein is the grandson. He is the third of these leaders, the third of these imams or the imamates. He is captured by Caliph Yazid, another Muslim leader, but a Sunni Muslim leader. Hussein and his men refuse to submit to Hussein. They are like, oh, no, not to Hussein. He is Hussein. How would Hussein submit to Hussein? I'm losing my mind. He refuses to submit to Yazid. So they were killed, beheaded, and no respect is given to the dead. So this is a festival remembering their sacrifice and their unwillingness to change their beliefs rather than be killed. They are like, no, we would rather die than submit to you. Well, how do you remember this? Well, the most famous part of it is self-flagellation. Flagulation. Flagulation. Now, if you can't remember that, they whip themselves on their back and often hit their head with a sword to remember the blood that was spilled by Hussein and to remember the pain that he would have gone through for his faith. So we put ourselves, we being these people who do this, we put ourselves to this pain to remember what he would have gone through. Now, this is not a majority of Shia Muslims. It is a very small number, but obviously it's very compelling to see this happening, so it's probably the one you remember from all our stuff. They also listen to retellings of the story. A leader will gather around and retell the sacrifice of Hussein. Shia Muslims see this as a time of grief and mourning. By mourning, I don't mean as in the morning, mourning as in being sad for something. So it's often traditional to wear black to show that you are in mourning. British Shias now often donate blood Okay, so why do they donate blood? Well, you're meant to show that you're willing to bleed for your religion. You want to bleed for your religion and yet help people. I will give blood because I'm giving my blood for my religion, and yet I'm going to help save a life. That's a really nice idea, especially if the question calls for two contrasting views of Ashura. You can say, well, this is a traditional view and this is very much a modern British view, and that's how you can show two contrasting views. Obviously, if it says two contrasting views of festivals, then you can say, oh, this is how they celebrate one festival, this is how they celebrate another festival. A 12-mark question on festivals, you can go, oh, maybe it'll be like Ashura is the most important festival. You could go, bang, for Shias, in some way it is the most important festival. However, all Muslims celebrate Eid al-Fitr in the same way, so maybe Eid al-Fitr is more important, or maybe Eid al-Adha is more important. It's a nice one. Because Sunni Muslims do celebrate Ashura just in a very different way, a very, very different way. They are not remembering the sacrifice of Hussein, because Hussein is not a leader in Sunni Islam. Okay, he's a leader in Shia Islam. So for Sunni Muslims, you're remembering the Day of Atonement. Okay, you are remembering when we are free from sin, when we are saved from sin. In fact, you're remembering the miracles of Moses. I've said all there, it should be and. The great miracles of Moses, who's called Musa, but Moses. You've seen the sort of Prince of Egypt style stuff, the parting of the Red Sea. These miracles, the leading of the people, this is what we're talking about with Moses. Why is this important? Well, because it was being saved by God. Okay, this is important. It's often remembered. You often remember this by fasting. Okay, we fast again. Sunni Muslims might fast 4 days during this time in the month of Muharram to remember this sacrifice, to remember this event, and remember the crossing of the deserts. Okay, that is a nice, simple idea. So you've got two very different celebrations. Though overall, the biggest celebrations of Ashura are done by Shia Muslims and not Sunni Muslims. Okay, that is important to remember. And the last page. Well, what have we got here? We've got a lovely theme park. There's a Ferris wheel, and there's a roller coaster with a loop-the-loop. And look, there's like one of them swings that swings you round, and there's a slide. This slide is fun and not full of bees. Well, that's good. And look, that boy is riding the slide, and he's got a saucepan on his head. Oh, it does seem to be full of bees. That's a problem. Oh, what shall we call our theme park? Well, I think we're going to cover it in bay leaves. That looks fun. We'll cover it in bay leaves. Some lovely, lovely bay leaves. And because this is a theme park for bay leaves, we'll call it Bay Leaves Land. Bay Leaves Land. Bailey Land. Hiya, Bailey.